The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
...2018 has been a one which has seen new content come to our racing service. It has seen some fantastic announcements, and well, we end up with this. The final broadcast of RaceSpotTV in 2018. It is Club UK&I and Monday Night Skippys on a Sunday. But we can't call it Sunday Night Skippys because that's what we normally call the 2K World Cup. It is, however, still in support of the Campaign Against Living Miserably, which is a male mental health charity in the United Kingdom, mental health being the biggest killer of young men under the age of 35. So what we can say is welcome to Detroit and welcome to the final broadcast on RaceSpotTV in 2018. This is Belle. This is a track which has become known now as the race after the Indianapolis 500. It's a bit windy out there today. Track temperature 23 degrees with 25% humidity. It's going to be myself, Warvinson, along with Linus Brostrom here, and of course, as ever, thank you to Isman Ballard, TrackCams22.com, Andres 1 and 1 Design for our overlay design, Simon Grossman at Engineering.com, and Nick Thiston, of course, as ever, for RaceSpotTV, live, timing, and scoring. So, Linus, it's Monday Night Skippys on a Sunday.
It is, which is quite weird, but since it's New Year's Eve tomorrow, I don't think anyone wants to be racing, as everyone's probably going to be out having fun.
Yes,
but it's going to be, we're going to get some fireworks here tonight as well, I'm pretty sure, because this is going to be a very, very interesting race, and something that kind of looks like a street track. It's very narrow, it's got concrete walls all over the place, and at the moment we have 34 cars qualified for this thing, so it's still going to be a pretty big field.
Yeah, 34 drivers are registered then for this race at Detroit. You can have a look at the track here as we just zoom it out a little bit. It is a street track. Roger Penske's been so involved in making this race a success, both financially, but in terms of really, you know, putting Detroit back on the map. Today, however, it's all about Club UK&I, and we've got 25 seconds left of the practice which has been allocated. Because it is a closed course qualifying, the second that timer ticks down to 0, qualifying will be over. There will be no one extra lap like we normally see on Monday Night Skippies. So what we can now do is run you through your starting grid for this, the third round of the championship. And it's going to be Bill Fraser on pole position then. Qualifying time, 1 minute 43.152. Sam Edwards alongside him on the front row of the grid. However, is 0.2 of a second back. SJ Dunning, third place with Kane Halliburton in P number 4. We work ourselves back to row 3. It is Claire Hughes and Daniel Cook. Row 4, Anthony Catt and James McRitchie. And then on to row number 5 is going to be Ben Daniels and Clark Williams. Linus, it is going to be a race where you really got to keep your patience on the first lap here today.
It really is, and being sort of a street track, it's going to be very, very narrow with all these cars, and we normally don't see a start crash in this series, but we might actually do that today. One bad move and you can end the race for 3, 4, maybe even 5 people, so you've got to be very, very patient at the start and don't try to make any bold moves unless you've got a really good opportunity and a big open gap to go into.
As we saw confirmation then, 35 drivers have set themselves a qualifying time for this race, and they are all now on the starting grid. Live timing and scoring will be available once this race commences. As the drivers now are ready, green flag is out. We are underway on the final race in 2018 on the iRacing Esports Network as the drivers work themselves through turn 1 and now turn 2 for the first time. And now it's down onto this first of many straightaways. Having a look through the field, there are a couple of drivers going going too wide with each other all the way up and down the field, but for the most part, that was the clean start we expected. But this is where we're likely to see some fireworks. They head themselves into turn 3. We have got a little bit of free wide down the middle, but surprisingly, everyone has got themselves off to a good start, Linus.
They have, and that was a little bit surprising, seeing them going 3 wide into that corner that early and not having a single contact, but they're all very, very patient, not doing anything too overly aggressive, and the top 10 is still in the same order that they started. So we got Fraser for Edwards to SJ Dunning in third, and it's just a long snake coming down the straight where it's 2 wide about position 20, but other than that it's just single file coming down into this next braking point, and there's not going to be any passing attempts whatsoever coming down here.
No, not into the section of the racetrack as we go on board for the first time with a driver. This is Anthony Catt in the number 14 machine. 14 laps is what we are going to be racing at today, so it's realistically only about a 25-minute race. So compare that to drivers who are watching here today expecting normal Sunday night Skippy action where it's a 45-minute race. It does mean there is a greater sense of urgency to get the moves done early. One thing I will say is that your top 2 have almost broken away by 1 second as they come past start finish line. Bill Fraser is your leader. We're on board with Simon Edwards right now, and it's 1.2 seconds back to SJ Dunning in third. That is important in terms of giving these 2 a little bit of space potentially later on to battle for the race win.
Yeah, if they work together now and pull out a big gap, they can race each other for the last few laps without having to worry about anyone else getting close to them. And behind them now we see, I believe that is Halliburton making a move on SJ Dunning to move into third place, and he's going to get that done coming to the end of the straightaway. But looking at the front 2, we see that their main competitor for the championship, who is Fahim Antonidis, he qualified all the way back in 14th and he's now in 11th, possibly up to P number 10 as well. So he's out of the battle for the win of this race already from the get-go.
Yeah, Atenides up actually now into 9th place. He's had a good opening couple of laps here as he works himself now down Strand Drive. This is the run from turn 6 into turn number 7, despite the fact there are a number of kinks. And turn 7 is the hardest corner on the track for many people because you are having to try and turn and brake in a straight line. And Anthony Cat there, very loose on the exit of turn 7. That allows Fahim Atenides now the opportunity through 9 and 10 to close up. But as you said earlier on, Linus, it's not really a traditional overtaking spot. And because of the fact that Cat was able to just contain his rhythm, as actually, no, Cat is going to yield. And actually, Cat, I think, might be bringing that car on towards pit road. Because he got a slowdown penalty because he's now down to 13th place on track.
Yeah, he did get a slowdown. He did go a little bit high on one of those curbs. It wasn't much, but just a little slight step over the track limits and you get a massive slowdown, and that is going to cost him a lot. It's going to be a lot of positions lost for him. But for him, Antonides, he's going to be up into P10 as Anthony Cat has actually gone off the track again, and he just barely kept it out of the concrete there. That could have been a very bad ending for him, but he's going to keep it going, and that's going to drop him all the way back down into P16 or 17.
Claire Hughes, number 42 machine, up into 4th place, just making the move there over SJ Dunning. So Dunning had a good qualifying, but has now lost 2 places. Atenides has actually just been passed by Matt Cox, or they're going to go 3 wide actually, almost for a moment. And this is Atenides, Matt Cox and James McRitchie. McRitchie's been in battles all race long already. We're going to go on board of him right now. And this is the last thing Atenides needs. There's people behind him who don't really care about the fact that he's in a battle for the championship. They just want to make up some big positions, and McRitchie now down to the inside of Matt Cox.
He does, and Antonides has already opened up a gap. McRitchie late on the brakes. It goes really high on the curb though. That's going to hurt him a bit, and he's not going to be able to pass Cox. Oh, and he almost runs into the back of him. That's going to make him slow down a lot. And here comes Clark Williams. He's going to back it as well though. So they're going to stay in the same positions they were before, and it's going to spread out quite a bit here.
Yeah, so that's the battle going on towards the rear end of your top 10. To go back to the front of your field, however, this is Bill Fraser. He is a quarter of a second right now ahead of Simon Edwards, but it looks so Edwards is more than happy to just sit there in the 2nd position and continue to try and pull out the gap to P3 and those further down in terms of your field. It's Kane Halliburton right now in 3rd place, Claire Hughes in 4th, and SJ Dunning down into the 5th position. As this is a wonderful look as the drivers head themselves for the first couple of corners on this track. Turns number 1 and 2, of course. This is where a certain executive at Chevrolet had themselves a bit of a moment while driving the pace car.
Yeah, I don't think that has escaped any racing fan who is a fan of social media, so thankfully they didn't destroy it too much, so I think he got away with that one. Yeah. But an interesting fact to note here with Edwards, every time they go down a straightaway, rather than drafting past Fraser, he just moves out of line to make sure he doesn't get past Bill Fraser. And behind him, Kane Halliburton on the last lap actually gained 1/10, so he is slightly faster than the front 2, and Edwards does not want to go into the lead just yet, so this could be a 3-way race in a few laps if Halliburton keeps his pace up, and he's getting even closer now when he looks at it.
Yeah, and he's also pulling out a gap to Claire Hughes behind, and that's important for your top duo, knowing the fact that if Halliburton does close up to the leading duo, he's not going to bring a huge train of cars along with him. Halliburton running in 3rd place, Claire Hughes in 4th, Dunning in 5th, and then Daniel Cook in 6th. To run through some retirees so far, just to let you know, we have got all cars circulating on track, but a number of drivers have had to make a pit stop. They include John McGovern, Chris Morris, Christopher Keeble, Chris Roberts, Kieran O'Flynn, Patrick Fairbanks, as well as Anthony Cat. So basically, if your name is Chris in this event, and your name isn't Christopher Kelsey, then you've been on pit road already. So not a good day to be a Chris here. It's just going to turn our attention back as Daniel Cook is looking to try and make a move over Dunning, but cannot do so as they work through the right-hander and underneath the Lear Corporation Bridge. And you can just see how the track just gets tighter and tighter and tighter at this point, Linus.
It certainly does, and it's you just gotta keep on track the whole time. If you make a little bit of a mistake, your day can be over, and these guys have done a great job so far. Further back down the field, we got a battle around Fahim Antonidis, who's actually been caught up by Matt Cox again, and Cox has gotten past him up into P number 8. So Fahim is really having a bad day here today, and I think he wish he would have qualified a lot better, as he's gonna have to watch out for James McRitchie, who's next behind him, or he could drop back down into 10th again, and that is not something he wants to happen.
Yeah, just worth having a note that I saw that Paul Thurston and Alan Piercy were having a scrap a couple of moments ago by the looks of it. There are battles going on down the rear end of your field. We have got Chris Roberts on pit road for a second time here. So the number 77 machine looks as though that his day could well be done. And let's go back to McRitchie actually. Let's go on board with McRitchie as they work now towards turn number 7. And he gets a much better run. As Atanides, I thought he almost hit the wall there.
Yeah, I think Fahim got away too fast through that corner. He got a little bit loose and had to really slow down to not hit the wall, and McRitchie ended up getting really close to him and had to check up himself. He's lucky that the cars behind him didn't get a massive run on him, but Fahim just barely managed to keep it out of the wall, so that was a great save by him to keep it in 9th place.
And it's worth noting as well that this isn't now just a battle to stay inside the top 10. There's also a lot of drivers that started closing up behind. You got yourself P number 11, Clark Williams, P12, Dower Taylor, Sarah Savage in 13th, Anthony Jones, all there in the mix as well as Paul Thurston having a quick side-by-side battle first with Alan Piercy, but actually now Tom Barry looks like he's going to try and get a bit of a run as they work through turns number 3 by the looks of it, but not able to do so at this stage of the lap. To go a little bit further forward, however, this is what I mean. We go on board with Anthony Jones, and there is now a train of drivers all within about 4 tenths per second of each other.
There is, and this is what tends to happen on tracks like this. You get a bit of a battle between 2 cars, and all the cars behind will catch up, and there's no way for them to get past or nowhere to go. They'll just catch up, and then they'll have to sit in the train. As we see, Anthony Jones, I believe that was... No, it wasn't. It was Sarah Savage getting a little bit close to the wall, and Fahim is really being put under pressure here now by McRitchie, but he gets slightly better exit than McRitchie again, so he's going to be able to stay ahead. And this long train just keeps on circling this track and not changing positions at the moment.
They're not, as we get close to the halfway point of this event. Then having a look then back at Anthony Jones running in 14th place, the last of the drivers on this gaggle of cars is half a second behind Sarah Savage right now in that famous now Ben & Jerry's liveried car, number 20 machine. Anthony Jones running in the number 11 car. And to give you an update at the front, actually Dunning side by side in a battle right now, and it looks as though Dunning is going to lose out to Daniel Cook. Dunning down into 6th position, and Atanides has had an incident. This is down, and Atanides has dropped back now to 15th place on track. Let's get ourselves a replay of this one and try and figure out what happened, Linus. But Atanides, under pressure, has now lost himself 7 positions in the space of 1 corner, and this, I've got a feeling it's either just going to be him getting loose under braking.
He just missed his braking point. He just missed his braking point completely and just went straight. I don't really know what happened there, but he just went straight on. So that was a bit of a weird one.
Let's have another look on board with him this time. And yeah, he literally just oh, he does tag the wall a little bit afterwards. I just think he knew that if he was to try and make the corner, he would lock up and end up hitting the wall. So sometimes that is the better of 2 evils. But as a consequence, Atanides is now down into 16th place on track, trying to recover, but he's now got to get past Adrian Hendy, who is in 15th spot.
He is, and that is not going to be a good race for him, dropping back even further from his 14th starting position. He had done some pretty good gains, but now all that work is thrown out of the window, and he's going to have to start all over again, and that's not going to be good for him. Back at the front though, Halliburton is looking at Bill Fraser, but he's going to back out early. Halliburton has actually caught the front 2 now, so it's a 3-horse race for the win with about 7 laps to go, right at the halfway mark actually, so it's game on again, and Fraser and Edwards is not going to be able to rest anymore because Halliburton is not going to hang about. He's just going to push.
Indeed so, as it's worth noting, James McRitchie has come down on pit road. But yeah, here are your top 3 as it stands then. Left-hand side of your screen, you'll see it. Sam Edwards leads by 2 tenths per second, 3 tenths per second over Bill Fraser. Kane Halliburton in the 3rd position. And now, all of a sudden, you see Bill Fraser right there in the draft as they work towards turn number 7 on track. Let's go on board with the driver of Kane Halliburton as he wrestles in that 3rd position. He did a lot of work to get up into that 3rd position, but then also to close up to these leading 2 drivers, as Darrell Taylor, just away from our shot, has got himself past Clark Williams as well. Or no, they're going to stay side by side actually, and you got Sarah Savage in the mix there as well as the driver of Anthony Jones. So a lot of scrapping going on at the rear part of your top 10. Good to see a lot of battles here at Detroit, Linus.
Yeah, it really is, and don't really know where to look all the time, but it's great that there's battle all over the place. And oh, Savage, the car in front of Savage, I believe that's Clark Williams, just nearly hit the wall there. He's going to lose a lot of momentum coming down the straightaway, and that's going to let Sarah Savage have a huge run, but she is going to have to back out coming into the next corner. So Clark Williams is going to stay in that 10th position, and Savage might get another chance here if she can get a good exit. She will. She's going to have to look to the outside though, because Williams is hugging that inside wall. It's going to be whoever can break the latest, and that is Savage. She's going to get a bit of an overlap, but she's going to run a bit wide, and that's going to cost her a position instead. That could have been big. She
clobbered the wall on the exit of the corner. We want to give ourselves a second look at that one on board of her, but Sarah Savage looks as though she did hit the wall down at turn number 3. Into the corner she comes. Yeah, clearly there, she left front. And well, for Sarah Savage, that is her down now into 17th position on track. But out front, it still remains close. Edwards, Fraser, Halliburton, top 3. They are separated now by just 2 tenths per second each.
Worth noting as well is Kane Halliburton won the first race of the season, and these other 2 still hasn't won a race, as Kat won his Monza last week. So Halliburton is actually top of the table amongst these guys at the moment, I believe. So he's got the most to gain here, as he is definitely in the championship hunt with these guys. Actually, he didn't race last week, so that will be a drop for him. But with a win, he's definitely in the championship race, so he's got no obligation to move over for these guys. He's got just as much of a right to race for the win here, and if he wins today, he's definitely on his way to possibly a championship.
As we go on board then with Kane Halliburton in the number 18 machine, note the fact that he's doing a similar strategy to what Bill Fraser was doing earlier, and not really riding in the draft. It's going to be the last 2 laps that these drivers are really going to get into it against each other, as the drivers work through the left-hander now, down at turn number 5. On to 6th even. Now it's going to be turn number 6, and you see they come out of that, and it's all kind of straight ahead of them. This is where big overtaking opportunity down in towards turn number 7, but note again, no one's really wanting to do anything just yet. Sarah Savage has come down onto pit road, we believe, after that incident down at turn number 3 a couple of moments ago. So she's had to get some repairs done to her race car. And to give you an update on the retirees, we now have 4. John McGovern, Anthony Catt, Alan Patterson, and Reese Saunders. But top of the field, this is what we like to call the stalking moment. I do, however, note on Bill Fraser's car there is some damage to that front wing. Now that might hurt his ability to go for a big move at the end of this event, Linus.
Yeah, by the looks of it, Halliburton has some similar damage as well, so that could very well be a curb somewhere that is a little bit higher than these cars would like. So that could definitely play into the hands of Simon Edwards, who's currently at the front of this field. But these 2 both have the draft of Edwards, as we see Fraser running a little bit wide. That's going to give Edwards some breathing room. So we'll see if he can close up quickly here down the next straightaway. If he can, it's definitely not going to be an issue. But Halliburton has actually got a run on Fraser. Instead of Fraser having a run on Edwards, who's actually pulling away. So Fraser might have had a mistake there. Here comes Halliburton on the inside, and he's going to move into second place, and that's going to be a lot of time lost for Fraser. Really had to brake there to not hit the wall like Sarah Savage did earlier.
Yeah, and that all started with the moment that you mentioned a moment ago with Bill Fraser. Because he lost momentum, it was a you have to get through quickly moment for Kane Halliburton. If you have a look at the gap, it is already 8.5, 9 tenths of a second. So had Halliburton not have made the move, Simon Edwards would have had about a 1.2, 1.3 second advantage minimum. And with 4 laps to go, that might have been quite a bit to try and hack back. But as it stands, Edwards now leads, still leads even, and Kane Halliburton now second. Bill Fraser down into the 3rd position. It's also worth noting that Bill Fraser is going to have to be wary of making the overtaking maneuver too quickly because of the fact that if he does so, the two might lose time to Simon Edwards. Darrell Taylor, Clark Williams, they've been battling it out. We've been seeing it on the screens over the last couple of corners. Darrell Taylor in the Bananas car looks like he's got the advantage for the time being over Clark Williams, and Atenides, to give you an update, has worked himself back up into 12th place.
So he's back where he was before, now working Clark Williams here for P11. He's not going to be able to make a move here, though. It's not a very good position to try and make an overtake, so he's going to have to just set him up now for a long straightaway. Maybe he can get him into the next braking point. Doesn't look like he will, though. As he dropped back actually on the exit, did not have a good exit at all, so still going to be in P number 12 for Fahim, who really wants to get back into that top 10. And he gets a little bit loose there as well, so he's going to lose even more momentum to Clark Williams.
Indeed so. Ben Daniels, by the way, just putting the pressure on Dunning. Battle for 6th place on track as it stands. Worth noting that Kane Halliburton is 1.1 seconds back from Simon Edwards with 2.5 laps to go, Linas. That is a big deficit to make up in the final 2 laps of this event. Edwards has started charging.
And at the same time, Fraser's really dropped back from Halliburton as well, so now he doesn't have to worry about anyone in his mirrors. So if he can just push it a little bit harder, he might be able to catch up to Edwards, but he really needs that draft. And I'm not sure if he will get the benefit of the draft from where he is now, seeing as these straights aren't that long. Fraser, however, could close up very quickly down a straightaway if he can get a good exit, so still anyone's race, but Edwards definitely has the advantage here now, coming to 2 laps to go with over 1 second lead.
Yeah, so this is going to be a 1.4 second advantage. It looks as though that Halliburton and Fraser are going to be battling each other for 2nd place as it stands. Looking down the field a little bit, worth noting that Darrell Taylor still in a battle with Anthony Jones. This is for 9th and 10th place on track. We're going to see on the left-hand side of your screen as well the people who have moved up and down through this race. Worth noting that Anthony Jones is up 4 places. He is the biggest mover inside of your top 10. Adrian Hendy up 5 places, your biggest mover inside of your top 15 this evening. Dunning is your biggest loser, however, inside of your top 10, down 3 positions from where he qualified. So 2 laps to go, and Halliburton has lost 2nd place now to Bill Fraser. So Fraser back up into 2nd, but 1.7 seconds in a lap and a half, Linus. That is going to have to be a kind of lap of the gods moment.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to get it. He's got Halliburton all over his rear wing here, and Halliburton is going to pounce as soon as he gets the opportunity. So Edwards will just have to put his head down here and not make any mistakes, and he will come away with the victory here today, I believe. But Fraser certainly has to watch out, because Halliburton is all over him, and one little mistake, Halliburton is right there. See who can get the better exit here onto this little straightaway. They're pretty equal actually, so he's going to stay ahead, I believe, all the way till the finish line at least, with 1 lap to go.
Indeed so. White flag, 1 more lap then of 2018 coverage on the iRacing Esports Network. What was that a moment ago? we saw Bill Fraser move to the inside. I thought that he had a draft there. That was not the case. The driver actually struggling to come on towards pit road. This is giving a bit of momentum now back to Kane Halliburton as they work the short run down to turn number 3. But Halliburton doesn't look as though he is going to be close enough unless he's going to look to the outside, which is what he's going to try and do here into turn number 3. No!
That was really close to hitting the wall there for Halliburton, but thankfully he managed to keep it out of it.
Indeed so, but he's dropped back now to almost 4/10 of a second as a consequence of that one. To give you an update, Dower Taylor, this is with Anthony Jones also into turn number 3.
Both of them just hit the wall.
You're right.
Both Fraser and Halliburton hit the wall, but they're both still going.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Kane Halliburton looks as though that he might be under pressure from Claire Hughes. Hughes, of course, almost won a race in 2018 at Spa. And Hughes now up into 3rd place. We'll get a replay and show you what happened after the race is scored complete. But Halliburton, that car has got some severe damage. Bill Fraser's car does look as though it would have enough momentum to get to the flag. But in terms of your race winner, it's going to be Simon Edwards, who's just going to now drive it towards the line. It is going to be the driver of Simon Edwards, who is your winner here today on Monday Night Skippies. Club UK&I Monday Night Skippies on a Sunday, because of course tomorrow is New Year's Eve. But let's go and have a look back and see what happened with Kane Halliburton. Well, we saw the back end of that. We just want to rewind that tape another 10 seconds, and that is what happened to both of them. I think that Halliburton just got a little bit distracted, as did Bill Fraser. Of course, he's not the winner. Let's just turn that back on. Yeah, Kane Halliburton got a little bit distracted, and Bill Fraser did exactly the same thing around exactly the same time. Here we are, into the corner. You see that Bill Fraser arcs it in. He just takes a little bit too much there. There's a little gutter, and Halliburton took far more. Fraser dragged the wall a little bit. Halliburton got a big chunk of it. I want to have a look actually at Bill Fraser and see what we can see from his perspective as he comes into the corner now. Yeah, he just bounces across the racetrack. He doesn't actually hit the wall on the outside, but then Kane Halliburton, as a consequence, just losing so much time, ends up being able to hold on to the 4th position, but Claire Hughes takes an unlikely podium from him on the final lap of the event. And here's a look at your final race results. Well, we did get some drama then in the final lap of the year here on RaceSpotTV. But Simon Edwards is still your winner. He's your winner by 3.5 seconds over Bill Fraser. Fraser 2nd, Claire Hughes in 3rd, Kane Halliburton 4th, Daniel Cook in 5th, S.A. Dunning, Ben Daniels, Matt Cox, Dow Taylor and Anthony Jones round out your top 10. Well, Linus, that's enough to just pique our attention on that final lap. And it's interesting because you had Fraser take a little bit too much on the inside, then you had Halliburton take way too much on the inside down at turn number 6.
Yeah, that was a bit of those moments where you just follow the car in front and don't really realize that he turned in a little bit too early, and that ended up costing Halliburton a 3rd place, unfortunately. But still managed to hold on to 4th, and I think with that hard impact he had with the wall, it could just as easily have parked his car right there and dropped him all the way back to being the last car on the lead lap, which is 28th. So I think he can consider himself lucky to only lose 1 position from that.
Well, there's a look then at the remainder of the results cycling through on your screen right now. We had a total of 37 drivers start this event. We had a number of retirees at the end of the field: Alan Patterson and Reese Saunders. Want to give a thank you to, as ever, TrackCams22.com, to And1Design, Aptioneering.com, and to Nick Thisson for RaceSpotTV live timing and scoring. That man has been Linus Prostrom. I am Will Vincent, and thank you to everyone who who has made 2018 a success, not just here on RaceSpotTV, but of course with the launch of the iRacing Esports Network as well. New Year's Eve is tomorrow. We hope that you have a good one. We hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you're back on the other side. 2019, the biggest year in sim racing ever. We'll see you on the other side. Thank you so much for watching Club UK&I and Monday Night Skippys on a Sunday. And of course, don't forget to check out the Campaign Against Living Miserably, calm and male mental health charity to support one of the biggest killers of men under the age of 35 in the United Kingdom. Good night from Detroit.